Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Wellbeing webinar presented by Drake Workwise. I am Kevin Vowles. I'm Head of Clinical Services and Principal Psychologist at Drake Workwise. I oversee the EAP services and wellbeing initiatives for our valued clients. Throughout the webinar, you will see two company logos, Drake Workwise and Drake Wellbeing Hub. This is because we are modernising our company and services to better support your well-being. Before I start the webinar, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today and pay my respects to the elders, past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Also, just some housekeeping. Please make sure you're on mute throughout. And if you have any questions, please add them to the chat function throughout the webinar so I can respond to them at the end. And there's still a bit of background noise. Can I have everyone go on mute, please? The purpose of today's webinar is to enhance your understanding of financial wellbeing and to give you strategies to better manage your stress related to financial hardship. At the end, we'll have one of our clinicians as a guest speaker. She's an experienced counsellor in supporting individuals through financial hardship, and she'll be available at the end to answer any of your questions. Again, there's background noise. It's rather distracting. Can I get everyone to go on mute, please?
Very minimal client issues, and you're exactly the same.
Now, let's watch a news report of the financial hardship that a lot of us are experiencing.
Right, with RBA rate rises expected tomorrow, pressure on mortgage, of course, and a cold winter and those power prices, many Australians are struggling to keep up with cost of living. We know that that's tough at the moment. In New South Wales, power prices there will rise as of 1 July by around 18%. In Queensland, it's 12%. In Victoria, around 5%. A lot of different reasons for the increases, but along with groceries and essentials of life, things are getting pretty tough. So it comes as no surprise today to learn that in Victoria, Foodbank Victoria are seeing now 50,000 Victorians looking for help with their groceries and food items. Many, we're told, for the first time. Joining me now for our regular Monday night segment, Sky News host Erin Molan. Erin, I was leaping ahead there. I forgot the sting. Hey, with these statistics out, and particularly those power price increases, I mean, how you fathom being able to pay 18% more for your power in New South Wales, I don't know. But things are pretty grim, aren't they?
They really are. Good evening to you, Peter, and I forget stings all the time, so it's all good. What really breaks my heart about this, you look at these images of kilometres long lines of cars of people lining up to get these food hampers, and they're reminiscent of those images we saw of really hard-working, incredible Australians who have worked their whole entire lives, never asked for a handout, and when COVID hit, had to line up outside Centrelink. And when you say first-time people going to Foodbank, these are people with jobs. Foodbank make the point that these aren't people sleeping rough or homeless Australians. These are people with full-time jobs who cannot afford to feed their families or feed themselves, and it's absolutely awful. I've contacted Foodbank today and said, is this happening in other parts of the country? And they said not to that extent, but regional areas are really, really tough at the moment. In South Australia, particularly regionally, ACT and New South Wales as well. In WA, they're seeing an incredible increase in first-timers. It really does break your heart, and who knows, with tomorrow's news as well, things will no doubt get harder. But one thing this isn't to Australians is surprising.
I'm not surprised.
No, it doesn't. The cost of food is astronomical.
As the cost of living goes up, definitely you would be obviously not spending as much on groceries. I know I don't. But yeah, food bank services would be a really good alternative to that.
I'm just having a look at the price of meat too before, and yep, and I saw in the news today the houses, two builders have gone under. So yep, I'm feeling it.
Cost of living is rising. People were already struggling before that because of the pandemic, and they haven't had a job or income in how long. Basically, people are screwed.
Yeah, she's not wrong, is she? It's really sad.
Talk to me about New South Wales. I watched some of those images over the weekend. Your heart breaks for these people. They've mopped up the mud not just once but 3 times in recent months. There's a lot of debate, a lot of human sympathy for them and you know, plenty of support required to get them back up on their feet. But are we at a stage where we need to start a conversation? If people are facing this for the 3rd time in 18 months, should government be assisting them to move if that's what they're prepared to do?
Oh, absolutely, and we should at the very least be starting a conversation. I said this on your very show during the Lismore tragedy. We spoke to the Lismore mayor and he made the point that people who buy in low-lying areas buy because they can afford a 4-bedroom house for 300 grand. 1.5 kilometres up a little bit higher, it's 700 grand. People live in these areas because a lot of them don't have the choice, but it's so complex, it's so divisive. Does the government relocate them somewhere else and then just stop supporting them, or do they then subsidise them for the next year while they settle in? Or do we look at mitigation? You know, the mayor of the Hawkesbury City Council said today, if the dam had been built 10 years ago, the wall had been risen 10 years ago, the peak would have been less than 3 metres than what it was here, which would have meant that all it would have done is just give a bit of issue on the bank rather than, you know, the horror that we're seeing at the moment. It is so complex, but someone with a far higher pay grade than you or I needs to sort it out. Some level of government, stop blaming each other and do something. People are just really upset.
I start to worry about businesses who get inundated, whether they want to reopen, because surely they'd be getting tired of the emotional distress as well as the financial hardship.
Just over the other side of the river there's an independent service station, and this is the 4th time that he's been submerged. I spoke to him on Saturday before it was rising, and they knew it was coming, and yeah, they were quite emotional about it because, you know, 4th time.
Really worried about people, how they're coping, and, you know, just hope everyone's keeping safe.
I don't like floods because we're not able to go to school.
Yeah, it's tough for a lot of people, Peter.
Incredibly tough, and again, I made this point at the top of the show. I hate seeing all that water just flow down the river and out to sea. We're not capturing it any. I know. Erin and that's another one someone with a bigger pay grade than us could sort out. Put some dams back on the agenda. Thank you for your time. Love the show on Sunday night. Watched it last night. Won't miss it again at all.
All right, that's a news report to really reflect on how dire it can be for some people in the current economic climate. So what we're, I suppose, highlighting right now is that financial wellbeing or financial stress is a real issue that a lot of us are experiencing. So the scope of this webinar, we'll start off with financial wellbeing, and we'll go through what financial wellbeing is, what factors influence financial wellbeing, and the financial wellbeing tree, which is a really good representation of financial wellbeing. Also, we're going to cover off on the concerns among Australians, so the top causes of stress and also household spending. Signs and symptoms of stress, and we're going to relate that to financial stress, going through the emotional, physical and behavioural and cognitive aspects of stress. And also we're going to cover off on 3 strategies to better manage your stress of financial hardship. And this will include really focusing on a positive attitude, controlling the controllables, and also goal setting and adjusting priorities. So money matters. That's the absolute reality. It can determine where we live, how we live, and what we do now and in the future. The ability to manage money and cope with unexpected financial hardship is important for individuals, families, and the economy. In this section, I'll discuss financial wellbeing, the factors, and also the financial tree. So financial wellbeing is when a person is able to meet expenses and has some money left over, is in control of their finances and feels financially secure now and in the future. So it has 3 interrelated dimensions. That is, the first one, meeting expenses and having some money left over. And this includes having an adequate income to meet basic needs, paying off debts, and covering unexpected expenses whilst having some money left over. The second one is being in control. This includes feeling and acting in control of your finances. And the third dimension is feeling financially secure. And this includes not having to worry much about money and having a sense of satisfaction with your financial situation. So a person can be stronger or weaker in a particular dimension, but the overall result will determine a person's financial well-being. Well-being has objective components like a person's savings and subjective components like how a person is feeling. Time is also an important element. Therefore, a person's financial well-being might be different today, tomorrow, and in the future, depending on the actions, experiences, and the economy. So many factors influence financial well-being. These factors can be found at the individual, household, community, and societal level. So research has found that the strongest influences of financial well-being are financial capability, financial inclusion, social capital, and income. Research has also found that health, particularly mental health, is also a strong influencer of financial well-being. So let's examine each influencer. Firstly, financial capability is a person's financial knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors necessary to make sound financial decisions based on personal circumstances to improve financial well-being. Also, research has found that individuals with higher levels of financial capability are more likely to have better financial well-being. But financial knowledge, attitudes, decisions, and behaviors influence financial well-being in different ways. And they mean different things to people at different ages. And you take, for example, an older person, they might be considering their super as a stream of income, whereas a younger person might be considering a higher disposable income to invest and so forth. Now, the next one is financial inclusion. And financial inclusion is having access to appropriate and affordable financial services and products, which is important for financial well-being. People who are financially excluded, who lack access to financial products and services, have poorer financial well-being than those who are financially included. Financial exclusion is a potential barrier to financial well-being, unfortunately. Social capital. It is argued that friends, relatives, and community services can provide essential support during periods of financial stress. And they might help to cover basic needs and expenses like income support, to meet unexpected expenses like emergency financial assistance. And for some, to afford little extras like parents helping young people to save. It makes sense that the people who cannot rely on friends and family during times of financial stress report lower financial well-being. Income is central to shaping financial well-being. The value of the income, that is the amount of money coming in, the stability and consistency of the income, and the source of the income, whether it's from work, a government payment, a super income stream, or from parents, are important in contributing to financial well-being. Also, health is vitally important to financial well-being. Disability, physical health, and mental health affect financial well-being directly and indirectly. Research has found that people with a serious mental illness are more likely to experience poor financial well-being, particularly people under 30 years, than or people with low or no levels of psychological support. So people with disabilities have significantly weaker social capital to draw on in financial emergency, which is an important contributor to financial well-being. Finally, there are many other factors that are important to financial well-being, including employment status, housing, caring responsibilities, and government policy. So, for example, changes to policies governing super have a direct impact on the financial well-being of older persons. And changes to the rate and eligibility requirements of income support payments have had an impact on the financial well-being of people with low incomes. These changes have made it difficult for people to manage expenses increase worry about money, and decrease people's sense of control over financial circumstances. So it's really impactful. And when we consider all the factors within the environment, this is a really good diagram and model that we've drawn from research. So financial well-being is not just about an individual's situation. It's also influenced by people's household, community, and social contexts. This is called taking an ecological systems approach to understanding financial well-being. One way to think about financial well-being and factors that influence it is to consider a tree. And you can see on the slide there, the tree's health or its financial well-being is affected by factors within and outside of its control. The tree's foliage has three main branches, which represent the primary dimensions of well-being. That is meeting expenses, being in control, and feeling financially secure. Each branch has a network of smaller branches that represent the sub-dimensions and indicate the health of the tree. The tree's root system draws in important nutrients that contribute to its growth during favourable circumstances. And these are the primary influences of financial well-being. Expected and unexpected external conditions or influences will affect the tree. And this includes conditions at a household, family, community, and societal level. There will be planned and unplanned events that the tree needs to have the resilience to respond to. For example, to respond to financial shock or life-changing events. Finally, what happens today matters for the tree, but its future well-being can change, and actions today and tomorrow can be protective or hindering factors in the tree's future. So the good news and bad news, it varies according to your personal circumstances. Nonetheless, the economy, government changes, your income, and many other factors really do impact on your financial well-being. So against a backdrop of rising inflation and global instability, many employees are feeling the pressure of meeting their day-to-day financial needs. That sentiment was evident in the latest PwC Employee Financial Wellbeing Survey of more than 3,000 workers across several industries. Now, the survey found that 2 out of 5 full-time employees said their top financial pressure is that everything costs more these days, and 56% are stressed about their finances. Financially stressed employees are twice as likely to look for a new job. So these stats are important to note for a manager, especially with retaining talent and improving workplace mental health and well-being. The Australian Psychological Society Stress and Wellbeing in Australia survey 2015, which included just over 1,500 people, found that financial issues are rated as the top cause of stress, with 49% of respondents saying that personal finances are a stress. Other top causes of stress include family issues at 45%, personal health at 44%, trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle at 40%, and issues with the health of others close to the respondents was a top stressor for 38% of respondents. In March this year, the Australian Bureau of Statistics reported that over a 12-month period, household spending had increased by 6.6%. Now, the largest increases were recreation up 17%, clothing and footwear up 15%, and transport up 12%. The only categories to show decreases in spending were alcohol and tobacco. They were down 16%, and health, that was down 2.3%. Now, financial safety can bring security and peace of mind. Combined with leisure time and fun activities, financial safety can have a positive effect on well-being. Being able to work and pay bills regularly can ease pressure and lower stress. However, not everyone is free from financial stress. We understand that mental health and financial woes are related. The way that we view our financial situation is what impacts our mental health. Even someone who's regularly paying off their debts may have constant feelings of mental and emotional stress around personal finances. So some signs that financial stress is affecting your mental well-being might include arguing with those closest to you about money, having trouble sleeping, maybe feeling angry or fearful, unusual mood swings, tiredness, loss of appetite, and maybe withdrawing from others. There are generally 4 categories of stress symptoms, and these include emotional, physical, behavioral, and cognitive. So stress tends to be triggered when we feel like we don't have the time or resources to meet the demands placed on us. It's important to note that the fight or flight response can be activated by perceived threats. We can become stressed by thinking and worrying, even if there isn't an objective threat. For example, if you have an upcoming bill to pay, your fight or flight response will be activated because it's important to you to pay this bill. How we think and behave impacts how we feel. So a model of stress that is presented on the slide has 4 components. Firstly, thoughts. This includes what you think about the situation and your self-talk. Feelings and emotions. Physical sensations, and this includes what you feel in your body. And behaviors, so that includes what you do and don't do. So if a person starts to worry about their finances getting out of control, they might feel stressed and irritable and start to get headaches or other body sensations. In response, they might procrastinate or dedicate all energy to one thing, and which triggers more stress-related thoughts, resulting in a vicious cycle. So what can we do to manage our stress related to financial hardship? I recommend 3 strategies, which we'll examine each in turn. The first one is positive attitude. So research has found that a reason why some individuals thrive and grow from a stressor and others do not is because how they appraise their experience. According to the appraisal theory, an individual is likely to have a negative emotional reaction to a situation if they appraise it as stressful and harmful. In contrast, a situation is interpreted as a non-threatening or positive experience is likely to result in a positive or neutral emotional reaction. These interpretations are mediated by how strong personal goals and self-identity are attached to the situation too. The stronger the attachment, the stronger the emotional reaction. Experience plays a large part in the appraisal of stressful events too. So research has found that individuals who experience multiple stressful events are psychologically stronger and have a more positive attitude towards stressors. This could be due to positive appraisals of their response and recovery from past challenges and perception of their ability to cope with future stressors. Now, psychologically strong individuals have psychological capital, which includes hope, optimism, self-efficacy, and resilience. Now, what are they? Well, hope is the perception that one's goals can be met. Optimism is a positive explanatory style about succeeding in the future. Self-efficacy is an individual's belief in their ability to achieve a specific outcome. And resilience is the ability to bounce back to normal functioning after experiencing hardship. So how do we get psychological capital? Well, it can be developed by persevering through challenges and learning from these experiences. A business can capitalize on individual psychological capital by fostering an environment where experienced and psychologically robust employees openly discuss their stressors and challenges, and mentor less experienced individuals through challenging experiences. This psychological capital could assist with increasing the stress management in individuals, which could then result in better performance and better decision making within an organization. The second one is control the controllables. You can reduce your financial stress by focusing on what you can control and influence, and accept the things that you can't control. And this helps you direct your energy to the things that are important in the achievement of your goal. So, for example, what I can control are my thoughts, my emotions, my behaviors, my physical reactions to stress, my personal budget, and knowledge and expert advice on financial planning. What I can influence, this includes household spending and personal budget and social connections. What I can't control are things like the pandemic, the economy, interest rate rises, and others' thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and others' mistakes. And finally, I also recommend goal setting and adjusting priorities when experiencing financial hardship. So I always say, failing to plan is planning to fail. Start with reviewing your plan towards the achievement of a goal, which might include taking a step back and adjusting your financial priorities. Making a detailed plan towards your financial goal will help you get back on track. Firstly, break down your goal into specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-oriented goals. And these are called SMART goals. You may have heard them. Write down a response to the following. If you've got a piece of paper and a pen or your phone and you're unfamiliar with SMART goals, then write down the following points. And starting off with S, which is specific. So what will be accomplished? And this is your mission statement and includes the who, so you perhaps, the what, for example, your spending, the when, so perhaps regularly or weekly spending, the where, so perhaps you're spending at home, and finally the why, and for example, to get on top of financial stress perhaps. Then the M stands for measurable. So how will you measure the achievement of your goal? Maybe use subjective measures like rating how you feel out of 10, 10 being positive and 1 being negative about it. And maybe using objective measures. And this might be the amount of money you spend and save each week. The A stands for achievable. So what resources do you need to achieve your goal? Are there resources easy to access? For example, downloading a free podcast or online guides to managing finances. Really reach out, ask for additional resources to perhaps really assist in the achievement of your SMART goal. R stands for relevant. So how does this goal relate to your broader goals and life? For example, daily budgeting is related to getting on top of monthly mortgage repayments, maybe. And finally, T stands for time orientated. So when would you like to achieve your goals or goal? Set a realistic date you want to achieve your goal or goals, and then set another date midway to review your progress. So setting dates can give you direction, motivation, and keep you on track. Next, create a habit. So a habit is an automatic routine which helps preserve energy and is part of our daily activities. Often repeating the behavior as little as 7 times can help form a habit. Start by setting a reminder and perhaps include that in your calendar. I like using my iPhone calendar to remind me of things, including paying bills. And this will help you not forget about your goal. Make it easy and convenient to do because the aim is to create a routine which is easier than trying to achieve the end state straight away. The end state will come in time and practice. So just believe in the process. Finally, after creating a habit, review your progress and involve a trusted friend or family member to hold you accountable. It's really good to get another person's support and opinion. And research has shown that social support, like friends and family, is one of the most commonly reported influences to maintaining healthy lifestyle behavior change. So ask a trusted friend or family member to support you and hold you accountable for achieving your financial goal or goals. So let's go through a working example to give you a bit of context. So let's start off with S. So I want to reduce my weekly spending so I can get on top of my financial stress and feel better. M, I'll measure this objectively by my weekly savings of $50 in the first month, and then $100 weekly savings in the second month. I'll also measure my progress through a subjective rating of how I feel about my financial stress, using a scale from 1, little stress, to 10, a lot of stress. Then we look at A. I'll use a free financial app to guide me on achieving my weekly goals. And R, this daily budgeting is related to getting on top of my mortgage payments, my monthly payments, which is important to me. And then T, I'd like to achieve a weekly saving of, let's say, $200 in 4 months' time, which will be the money put aside for the ongoing monthly mortgage repayments. Again, it's really important that I get on top of this. And finally, I'm going to review my progress with my partner every Sunday evening as something that we can work together on. All right, so it's past, and I'd like to introduce you to Carol, one of our clinicians who is experiencing counselling individuals with financial hardship. Carol, hello, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am indeed. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. So good to hear from you and see you. I'm well, and thank you so much for jumping on and helping with this event. And I'd love to start the conversation with one of the questions that we have for you, and let's bring it up and go for it. So, what are some key strategies that you recommend to your clients suffering from financial hardship?
Okay, the best one to look at is deal with it head on. Look at the situation, go and get some help, go and see a financial counsellor, speak to the creditor, speak to whoever it is that you owe the money to, or even if it's a gas or electricity bill. They are so good. And it's a matter of stepping back. And as you were saying before, Kevin, you did a brilliant job on explaining the financial stress. It actually is the root of everything if we've got financial stress. But if we actually contact the people and explain to them exactly what's going on, you'll be ever so surprised at how accommodating they can be. And they're extremely empowering. And I find that's the best thing, deal with it. Don't a lot of us put it to the back burner and think, oh, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I won't worry about it today. And then you get another letter. So instead of opening it, you put it aside. Instead of opening it, you put it aside. Whereas if we deal with it before it even becomes a letter, you'd be surprised how good that can be.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic suggestion, Carol. And just to summarise, it's reaching out to those to ensure that you're getting the support and advice to get on top of your financial stress. But also what I see as from a psychologist's point of view, that's the problem-solving strategy. As we tend to identify two main types of coping with a stressor. One is to try to solve or eliminate the cause of the stress. And the other one is to manage our emotional reactions to the stressor. And you're suggesting the first one, which I would recommend too, is that problem-solving strategy to really reduce the cause of that stress. That's well. Thank you. Next question: what are the common responses from banks when someone can't pay their mortgage?
Look, as a rule, banks are brilliant. They have what they call their hardship team, and what would happen is, hypothetically, you would ring up. I can't pay this month, my husband's got sick, someone's lost a job or whatever. They would automatically, without even thinking, you may have to provide certificates, pay slips, that type of information, a budget to show you where they're at. But 90%, or I'll go 99.5% of them, will allow you 3 months without a payment. Some of them can go up to 12 months if it's an illness or something that's quite significant. And then what they do at the end of that, people think, oh my God, it's going to affect my credit file and all that. Doesn't do any of that. It doesn't impact at all. And in most cases, they don't ask you to repay that 12 months worth of payments. They usually capitalise it at the end of it, which means hypothetically, if you had 10 years to go, you'd have 11. And they are just so accommodating. People get like a fear factor as if, oh my God, they're the gremlin, but they're not. They have their hardship team and they're experts in that field. And there are financial counsellors, that you can go to who can do that work for you. If you're quite stressed about making the call, they can make the call for you. It's just incredible.
Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, like, the people that call, honestly, after you've spoken to them and they actually see it, they think, oh, wow, it wasn't as stressful as it is. But and that goes for car loans, it goes for everything. But mortgages, they are absolutely brilliant.
Well, there you go. And I can imagine that a lot of the viewers of this event would feel reassured with that, I suppose, advice is that banks can be accommodating. And I do agree that some of us do perceive banks as the scary person that we don't want to talk to. But it's comforting that they can actually respond positively to our requests for, I suppose, easing up the pressure of repayments on a mortgage or any other loan that can be quite big. And I can speak personally. I've got a mortgage for our home, and it's quite scary watching the interest rate rises increase the weekly and monthly repayments. And I think it's reassuring that some of the banks can be quite supportive.
Oh, look, as I said, they're brilliantly supportive in all forms. And that's something people just don't understand, don't give them the credit for.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. I'm no longer going to perceive my bank as scary.
Which is good to hear.
My next question is, what are some of the first things that are neglected when someone is in financial hardship?
Look, usually it's the gas, the electricities, the phones. Do you know what I mean? Just the basics. And once again, all of them, they can give you payments of like $10 a fortnight for a few months while you're going through this troubled time. And if as I said earlier, if we deal with it immediately, and if you're fearful of it, contact a financial counsellor, contact Drake Workwise. They have people that will talk to you usually within 24 hours and sort that problem out for you. In a lot of cases, they can give you contact numbers to deal with, emails to deal with, all that. But I normally find that, and sometimes people go without food in order to pay for something, and we can't do that. Seriously, the things that count, like if you're paying rent, even paying rent, contact the real estate agent. You may be surprised how they'd say, okay, look, let's let it go for a couple of weeks and we'll add X amount a week. Some of them are just so accommodating, but you must always remember, some people won't put food on the table so that they pay the mortgage because they're fearful that, my God, they're going to lose the house, or my God, I'm going to be kicked out. That isn't the case. Talk to someone and get a second opinion, a second view, you know what I mean? Because sometimes we don't think straight. When we're stressed, we just think negative. We don't sit back and have a look. But there is always a positive side. And you come out the other end and honestly, you feel empowered, and that's the part. But, and like we're like a car. So if we don't eat, we've run out of fuel. So we're driving around on flat tyres, and we don't want to do that. So it's important that people don't go without anything that's actually makes your life. But gas, electricities and things like that, they put the letters away. As I said earlier, don't pay the bill. Don't do that. If you think you're going to have a tough week coming up, call them. And it could be that you halve all your payments for a couple of weeks and think, okay, now I've got myself back on the straight and narrow. Where am I going to go from here? But as I said, it's a matter of looking positively and not going without anything.
Yeah. My goodness.
I probably didn't answer your question properly.
No.
I beat around the bush. I'm good at that.
No, it did actually. And what I'm reflecting on is that some common things that are neglected include the basic needs like food and important things that really help people live in a comfortable environment, like paying the utility bills.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. We need to make sure that we're looking after our health so that we can function, think properly, and problem solve when there are lots of stresses within the environment. Because if we don't, then we're unable to really tackle things at 100%. And if we're not attending to our basic needs like food, because we're avoiding having to chat with the bank or avoiding a bill.
Yeah, and we're
that's not healthy.
Yeah, well, as I said, I always remind us we're like a car. So if we don't eat well, sleep well, and exercise, we're going to drive around on flat tires, and the cars don't operate. So if you think on a similar light like that, and think, okay, I've got to keep the car level, I've got to be able to start the engine. So you've got to look after it, and it's really, really important. Seriously, no matter what. And we've all been through some really tough times with COVID.
Yeah.
It really put the cat amongst the pigeons in the big picture of stuff. But the bottom line, we will come out the other end of this. And when you are in financial stress, you do come out the other end, even though on the day you can't see that. But if you step back and have a look at the picture and think, okay, what part of it, as you were saying earlier, Kevin, what part of it can you control? And if you can't control it, seek the help to get the control. And you can't go wrong.
No, and you're right. It's really helpful to get that professional advice to really give you a different perspective and to assist in managing those things that get you on top of not only your financial stress, but your health in general. And experienced clinicians like yourself are a very, very helpful resource that people can tap into to really assist in getting on top of financial hardship. So I thank you so much for coming on today, and I do value not only your time and your contribution today, but also your support to all the clients, the valued clients that we have with Drake Workwise.
Okay.
So I'll just
lovely to meet you.
Lovely to have you. Thank you so much.
Okay,
so I'll just conclude today's webinar. I'll just conclude today's webinar as an example of the great initiatives available to you through Drake Workwise. Our programs are bespoke and tailored to your organisation's needs and budget. To discover more about the full training package on this topic or another strategy to enhance the wellbeing in your workplace, please contact one of our friendly team members. So good afternoon and goodbye.